next year. Speaking of what Florida State dealt with, the committee chairman, not Bill Hancock, the lobbyist, the committee chairman was the athletic director for what school, Paul? Oregon.
North Carolina.
An ACC team. You wonder how much he got his hands dirty in that room. With all due respect, I don't know.
NC State.
Excuse me. NC State. Cunningham's North Carolina.
Oh, Cunningham, yeah.
But is there a chance, which is also a side story to all this, that what happened to FSU and the ACC, could this bring back the fracture that we saw back during the summer? Is there a chance that something like this could lead to get the hell out of there or do something separate?
So if the argument from the people who tell Florida State to stay in the ACC that the best way for you to get to the championship is to be in the ACC because you can win that, well, that went out the window yesterday too. So that's the thing. Now, I'm a person who, as a Florida State fan, I would not mind watching them play those games in the SEC. It would be fun week in and week out, but I'm not completely for them changing leagues because, like Craig, in Oklahoma, you kind of know that there's a penance to pay for that. That's maybe not what you're used to as running a conference like Oklahoma has or Florida State and Clemson have for the ACC. So you're not going to win it as much as you used to in the past. Now it's less valuable because you could still get in the playoff if you're 12th, but even still, I do think that plays an account of it because if you're Florida State and somebody's trying to convince you that the ACC is the place you got to be, well, it didn't matter for them this year.
Yeah, and that's if the SEC is an option, which we don't know that, and that gets into another part of it. Craig?
Yeah, I think it's the offseason, so realignment was going to perk back up anyways, but I think that decision over the weekend certainly expedited that process as well. A lot of processes getting expedited here recently. I've noticed West Virginia guy, MH Ver's back, so it's realignment season when these rumors start flying that seem just entirely off the wall. So, I guess that's where we've arrived now. Although it's a little confusing to me, just some of the stuff I see, it's kind of outlandish and hard to imagine that's really based in reality as of this moment because there's just all sorts of stuff flying around. But I think the one thing that was mentioned, like realignment, that I just don't understand is, doesn't this all just play into the hands of the people who made this decision to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
So they win again.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that just left out Florida State and their people then take that as that's the ACC's fault? That Florida State didn't get in? Because why? Because they didn't.
Because the letters
because they were part of the alliance a few years ago. Yeah. Because but why is that the ACC's fault? So it's very odd to me. It's almost like people were just looking for a reason to say this is why we have to leave. It's like, well, you already have plenty of reasons. Like you stated those all during the offseason. But this is now like the final straw
that pulls the scarf
that they had nothing to do with. That the playoff committee, who's influenced by the TV networks, who have set up this whole thing with the SEC getting the teams that they wanted and the Big Ten getting the teams that they wanted, and they've orchestrated this entire thing. And we've all called them out on it. We've all been very clear about the networks and all that. And so now, after this travesty of a decision, the reaction is to just go play right into their hands and have those teams then go join the groups that they are like. Do y'all see where I'm coming from?
No. Here's what I also.
That's what I didn't get at all coming out of this weekend.
Here's what we are now. If you don't get your way, you take your toys and go home, or you quit. And that's what that would be. No matter how much of an argument Florida State has, that's who we are now. Watch what happens, not just in sports, but you don't get your way, you get pissed off, you go quit. Instead of just, finding a way next year, go back and do it again.
Yeah, I like joining the SEC would be like, oh, well, we can't beat them, so we got to join them kind of a thing. Yeah. And they just screwed us over, so let's go let them.
Let's go make them even more powerful.
Yeah,
let's
go.
Yeah, no. So that to me, is just it's shouldn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way at all. And I don't know. I had another thought of this, but I've had so many running.
Yeah, it's just
Craig,
very
you finish,
strange.
and then we go to two super.
Yeah, it's just very strange that I saw this, and I was reading Florida State fans, and they're like, this conference, like the attendance sucks, and they don't care about it as passionately as Florida State cares about it, and screw the ACC. And it's like, I get that you were already kind of angry with them, and then Drew Weatherford, who's like basically leading the charge, the former Knowles quarterback, who's like, this is exactly why we have to leave the ACC. It's like, what did the ACC do? They weren't on the playoff committee. Like, I get, like, they could give you more money, okay? I get that you weren't happy they invited SMU. I understand those things. Those things were already prevalent, though, before this decision was made. I just thought it was a very strange reaction to go, they got screwed. This is somehow the ACC's fault, and this is why we now need to go join the two conferences that have basically been working with the TV networks to screw everybody and change college football. So you're just playing into their hands. You're not making any kind of grand statement. So I just thought that was really strange and a weird reaction to it all. But I get the frustrations. I just think that you're doing exactly what the people pulling the puppet strings want you to do, and you're only going to hasten the transformation into the two Super League thing that, we'll see what that ends up looking like on the other end. But, yeah, I mean, it's a weird deal right now. And obviously because of all of that, realignment has now come back to the forefront. And I don't know how imminent anything is with, FSU or the ACC even for that matter, but it's definitely going to be a topic of conversation because now it's been used as part of the storyline now is that, if they wouldn't have been in the ACC, then they would have gotten in. Would they have in 4-team playoff? And on the other side of that, it's an expanded playoff next year. So you're going to get in.
Your odds are even better.
So
yeah.
that was so bizarre.
All right, we will